Captain Dae-ho Kim stared at the large star map floating in the air above the meeting table. The blue light showed thousands of star systems across the galaxy. Trade routes connected them like bright lines. But there was one place where the lines stopped. One place that stayed dark. "What is that empty space?" asked Prince Jaewon Choi. He pointed his finger at the dark area on the edge of the map. "I see no stars marked there. No trade routes. Nothing." The room fell quiet. 20 different alien species sat around the big table in the Galactic Council building. They were the most powerful traders and leaders in the galaxy. But none of them wanted to answer Choi's question. Admiral Sung-min Lee cleared his throat. He was an old man with gray hair and tired eyes. "That area is marked as a quarantine zone. Ships are not allowed to go there." "Why?" Choi asked. "What is so dangerous about empty space?" Lee looked uncomfortable. "The records are old, very old. 300 years ago, the last expedition went to that area. They never came back. No messages, no signals, nothing." Dr. Hai-Jin Park was sitting next to Captain Kim. She was young and smart, and she loved to study old history. She had been looking through ancient files for weeks. "I found some old records," she said quietly. "That area used to be full of planets, full of life." "What happened to them?" asked Navigator So Young-yoon. "War," Park said. "A great war. The records call it the Great Silence. After it ended, that whole area went dark. No signals came out. No ships came out. It was like everyone there just disappeared." Captain Kim had been flying ships for 30 years. He had seen many strange things in space, but this mystery made him curious. "Who lived there before the war?" Park opened her datapad. The screen showed old, broken text. "The records are damaged, but I found one word that appears many times. Humans. I think that is what they called themselves." A blue alien with 4 arms laughed. "Humans? Never heard of them. They must have been weak if they all died in this war." "Maybe," Park said. "But the records show something else. Before they disappeared, the humans had very advanced technology. Ships that could move faster than anything we have now. Weapons that could destroy entire fleets. If they were so strong, why did they lose?" asked a crystal being that sparkled in the light. "I don't think they lost," Park said slowly. "I think they won. And then they disappeared." Prince Choi stood up. He was rich and powerful, and he was always looking for new ways to make money. "If there are planets there with no one living on them, we could claim them, build new colonies, start new trade routes." "The quarantine zone exists for a reason," Admiral Lee said firmly. "The Galactic Council voted 300 years ago. No ships go there, ever." "But why?" Choi demanded. "What are we afraid of? Ghosts?" Lee's face became serious. 5 ships have tried to cross into that zone in the last 50 years. Military ships with the best equipment we have. None of them came back. We don't even know how they died." Captain Kim felt a chill run down his back. He had lost friends in deep space before. Space was dangerous, but 5 ships disappearing with no trace? That was different. "Maybe they had engine problems," suggested Engineer Myung-shin. She was young, and always believed there was a simple answer to every problem. "All 5 ships had different engine types," Lee replied, "and they were all new ships with perfect maintenance records." Navigator Yoon was studying the map carefully. "The edge of the quarantine zone is marked here," she said, pointing to a red line. "But look at this. The last trading post before that line reports strange sensor readings." "What kind of readings?" Kim asked. "Ships. Big ships. Moving in patterns just inside the quarantine zone. But when they send messages, no one answers." The room became very quiet. Everyone was thinking the same thing. If there were ships in the quarantine zone, then someone was still alive there. Someone who did not want to talk. Dr. Park looked at her datapad again. "I found something else in the old records. Before the Great Silence, the humans were part of the galactic community. They traded with other species. They had embassies on many worlds." "What happened to those embassies?" asked Kim. They were all abandoned on the same day. The humans just left. They took everything with them and disappeared. No explanation. No goodbye messages. Prince Choi's eyes lit up with greed. If they left in such a hurry, they might have left valuable things behind. Technology, resources, entire planets full of treasure. Or they left traps, said Admiral Lee. Think about it. A species with advanced technology suddenly disappears. 5 modern ships try to find them and vanish without a trace. Maybe the humans don't want visitors. Commander Taehyun Kang had been quiet during the whole meeting. He was a security expert who usually said very little. But now he spoke up. I served on a border patrol ship 10 years ago. We picked up a strange signal from the edge of the quarantine zone. Everyone turned to look at him. What kind of signal? Kim asked. It was in an old human language. We had the computer translate it. The message was simple. It said, "Stay away. This is your only warning." The room fell silent again. The idea that someone was still out there watching the border made everyone nervous. But that was 10 years ago, Choi said. Maybe they're all dead now. Maybe it was just an old automated message. Maybe, Kang said. Or maybe they're still there, still watching, still waiting. Dr. Park closed her datapad. There's only one way to find out the truth. Someone has to go there and look. Absolutely not, Admiral Lee said quickly. The Galactic Council has forbidden it. The Galactic Council is afraid, Choi said with anger. We rule the galaxy, but we're afraid of empty space and old ghost stories. Those ghost stories killed 5 ship crews, Lee reminded him. Captain Kim had been thinking while the others argued. He was a curious man, and mysteries always pulled at him like a strong wind pulls at a ship's sails. What if we sent a small expedition? Just to the very edge of the zone, we could use unmanned probes first. Be very careful. The risk is too high, Lee said. The potential profit is higher, Choi argued. If there are abandoned human worlds, out there they could be worth more than entire star systems. Navigator Yoon was still studying the star map. Look at this, she said suddenly. The quarantine zone isn't random, it's perfectly round, like a sphere drawn around something important. What do you think is in the center? Kim asked. I don't know, Yoon said. But someone drew that line very carefully. Someone who knew exactly what they were protecting, or what they were keeping inside, Kim thought to himself. The meeting went on for 3 more hours. In the end, the pressure from the trading guilds was too strong. They needed new resources, new markets, new opportunities. The Galactic Council agreed to allow one small expedition to the edge of the quarantine zone. Captain Kim volunteered to lead it. He told himself it was for the good of the galaxy. But deep inside, he knew the real reason. He had to know what was out there in the dark space where the galactic map stopped. As the meeting ended and the aliens filed out, Dr. Park stayed behind. Captain, she said quietly, I found one more thing in the records. Something I didn't want to say in front of the others. What is it? The last human embassy message before they all disappeared. It was sent to the Galactic Council 300 years ago. What did it say? Park looked at her datapad with worried eyes. It said, We are leaving for your protection, not ours. Do not follow us. Do not look for us. Some doors should never be opened. Captain Kim felt cold space wind blow through his soul. But it was too late to change his mind now. The expedition was approved. In 1 week, they would find out what the humans had been hiding for 300 years. He just hoped they would live long enough to tell anyone what they found. 1 week later, Captain Dae-ho Kim stood on the bridge of his ship, the starbound Fortune. Through the big window, he could see 4 other ships flying beside them. Each ship carried representatives from different alien species across the galaxy. Dr. Hyejin Park was checking her equipment for the 10th time that morning. The sensors are working perfectly, she said. If there's anything out there, we'll find it. Navigator So Young-yoon was watching her screens carefully. We're approaching the edge of the quarantine zone, she announced. 10 minutes until we cross the line. Engineer Mi Young-shin looked up from her control panel. All ship systems are running normally. Engines are at full power. We're ready for anything. Commander Tae-hyun Kang walked onto the bridge. He was wearing his full battle armor and carrying his weapon. "Security teams on all ships are ready," he reported. "But I still think this is a bad idea." Kim nodded. He felt the same way, but they had come too far to turn back now. "Pilot Nam, take us forward, nice and slow." Pilot Hyunwoo Nam was the best pilot in the fleet. His hands moved over the controls like he was playing music. "Yes, sir. Crossing. The line in 3, 2, 1. Now." The ship moved past the invisible border into the forbidden zone. For a moment, nothing happened. The stars looked the same. Space looked the same. But then Navigator Yoon made a worried sound. "Captain, I'm getting strange readings on the sensors. There are objects out there. Big objects." "How big?" Kim asked. "Bigger than our ships. Much bigger." Dr. Park looked at her screen with excitement. "I'm detecting metal structures, ancient but still intact. They're scattered all through this area." Kim felt his heart beat faster. "Can you tell what they are?" "They look like battlefield debris. Pieces of destroyed ships, but some of the pieces are the size of small cities." The communication system crackled to life. It was Captain Bach from the second ship. "Kim, are you seeing this? There are ship parts floating everywhere. What kind of battle happened here?" "I don't know," Kim replied. "But it must have been huge." Navigator Yoon pointed to her screen. "Captain, I'm seeing something different over there. It's not debris. It's a complete ship." Kim looked where she was pointing. Far away, barely visible, was a massive dark shape. "How far away is it?" 2 hours at current speed. "Take us there, but be ready to run if anything goes wrong." As they flew deeper into the quarantine zone, they saw more and more debris. Pieces of metal the size of mountains floated silently in space. Some pieces had strange writing on them in languages none of them recognized. "Look at this," Dr. Park said, pointing to her screen. "These metal pieces aren't from the same ships. Some are made from materials I've never seen before. Others use technology that's completely different." "Different how?" Kim asked. "Some of these ships were built for war. Big guns, heavy armor, fast engines. But others were built for peace. They have medical facilities, research labs, living areas for families." Engineer Shin was studying the engine readings from the debris. "Captain, some of these ship parts are still powered. After 300 years, they still have energy running through them." That made everyone nervous. Old technology that still worked after centuries was dangerous technology. Pilot Nam suddenly slowed the ship down. "Captain, we've reached the big ship. You need to see this." Kim looked out the window and felt his breath stop. The ship in front of them was enormous. It was at least 10 times bigger than their largest battleship. But it wasn't built for war. It was built like a floating city. "It's beautiful," Dr. Park whispered. The ship was long and smooth, with gentle curves instead of sharp edges. There were thousands of windows along its sides and parks and gardens visible inside. It looked like it was built by people who loved art and beauty. "I'm scanning the ship," Park continued. "It's completely dead. No power, no life signs. But the hull is intact. We could board it." Commander Kang shook his head. "That's exactly what the other 5 ships probably thought before they disappeared." "But this could be our only chance to learn what happened here," Kim said. "Navigator Yoon, can you find a safe place to dock?" "There's a docking bay on the lower section. It looks like it was built for visitors." Kim made his decision. "We'll send a small team aboard. Dr. Park, you're with me. Commander Kang, bring 2 security officers. Everyone else stays on the ship and keeps the engines ready." An hour later, Kim found himself walking through the empty corridors of the alien ship. The air was cold and thin, but breathable. Emergency lights gave everything a ghostly blue glow. "The ship is designed for beings about our size," Dr. Park observed. "Whatever built this ship, they were similar to us." Commander Kang was checking every corner with his weapon ready. "Too quiet," he muttered. "I don't like it." They found living quarters filled with personal belongings. Pictures on walls showed families with strange faces but familiar smiles. Children playing in gardens. couples holding hands under alien stars. They weren't warriors, Park said sadly. They were just people trying to live normal lives. In the ship's central area, they found something that made them all stop and stare. It was a huge memorial wall covered with billions of names written in glowing letters. "What is this place?" Kim asked. Park was using her translation computer to read the names. "It's a memorial, but not for the people who died in the war. It's for the people who survived it." "I don't understand." "Look at this." Park pointed to text above the memorial wall. Her computer had translated it into their language. It says, "In memory of our innocence, in honor of what we were before we became what we had to be." Commander Kang found a control panel near the memorial. When he touched it, the wall came to life. A hologram appeared showing a figure that looked almost human but not quite. The being had 2 arms, 2 legs, and 1 head, but the proportions were slightly different. The hologram began to speak. Park's computer translated the words, "You have entered the Terran Memorial Zone. This ship carries the names of every human who survived the Great War. We built this memorial to remember who we used to be, before we learned to destroy our enemies, completely." Kim felt cold fear run through his body. Terran. That means human. The hologram continued. "If you are seeing this message, it means you have ignored our warnings and entered our space. We will not warn you again. Leave now, while you still can." The hologram flickered and showed images of the war, massive fleets of ships fighting in space, planets being destroyed, billions of beings dying, but one thing was clear. The humans were winning. They were winning easily. "This isn't right," Park whispered. "The record said the humans disappeared because they lost the war. But these images show them winning." The final part of the message made them all want to run. "We withdrew from Galactic society not because we were defeated, but because we were too good at destroying our enemies. We came here to learn how to be human again. But if you threaten us, you will learn why the galaxy fears the darkness beyond the map." Suddenly, alarms started ringing throughout the ship. Commander Kang grabbed his radio. "This is Kang. What's happening?" Navigator Yoon's voice came through, filled with panic. "Captain, ships are appearing all around us. Big ships. They just came out of nowhere." Kim ran to the nearest window and looked out. His heart almost stopped. Surrounding their small fleet were dozens of ships unlike anything he had ever seen. They were sleek and deadly, and they moved through space like living things. "How many?" he asked into his radio. "At least 50. Maybe more. They're not attacking, but their weapons are pointed at us." Dr. Park was still staring at the memorial wall. "Captain, I found something else. This ship isn't empty. Look at this." She pointed to a section of the wall that was glowing brighter than the rest. New names were being added to the memorial. Recent names. Names of people who were still alive. "The humans didn't disappear," Park said with amazement and fear. "They're still here. They've been here the whole time, watching the border. Waiting." Kim's radio crackled again. This time it was a new voice speaking perfect galactic standard language. "Alien vessels, you have 10 minutes to leave our space. This is your only warning. Do not test our patience." Kim looked around at his team. They had found the answer to the 300-year-old mystery. The humans were alive. They were powerful. And they were not happy about visitors. "We need to get back to our ship," Kim said. "Right now." As they ran through the empty corridors of the memorial ship, Kim couldn't stop thinking about those new names being added to the wall. The humans were still here, still living, still remembering their war. But what were they preparing for? He had a feeling they were about to find out. The room became very quiet. Kim felt sick to his stomach. "You committed genocide." "Yes," Dr. Lim said simply. "And when we realized what we had done, what we were capable of, we were horrified. The galaxy had seen what human anger could accomplish. Other species began to fear us more than they had ever feared the Andromedans." Navigator Yoon spoke up quietly. "So you disappeared to protect the galaxy from yourselves?" "Exactly. We withdrew to this region of space. We built our own worlds, our own cities, our own civilization. We let the galaxy believe we were extinct. It was better that way. Engineer Shin was studying the technical displays on the screens. But you kept developing technology. You kept growing stronger. We had to, Dr. Lim said. The Andromedans weren't the real threat. They were just soldiers working for something much worse. Something that lives in the space between galaxies. Kim felt a chill run down his spine. What do you mean? Dr. Lim touched another control. The screens now showed images of space that looked wrong somehow. Dark areas where no stars shone. Empty regions that seemed to swallow light. The void devourers, Dr. Lim said. They consume entire star systems. They turn living worlds into empty space. The Andromedans were their advanced scouts preparing the galaxy for invasion. Where are they now? Commander Kang asked. They retreat after each attack, back to the dark space between galaxies. They wait. They plan. They prepare for their next assault. Dr. Park looked at the dark images on the screen. How do you know about them? Because we've been fighting them for 300 years, Dr. Lim said. While the galaxy forgot about us, we've been preparing for their return, building defenses, developing weapons, training soldiers. Kim finally understood. That's why you really withdrew. Not just because you were ashamed of what you did to the Andromedans. You withdrew to prepare for a bigger war. The Andromedans attacked human space because the Void Devourers told them to. They wanted to test our strength. They wanted to see what we were capable of. And now they know, Navigator Yoon said quietly. Yes. And they're coming back. Our deep space sensors have detected movement in the void between galaxies. Ships beyond counting. The Void Devourers are returning, and this time they're bringing everything they have. Dr. Lim turned to face Kim directly. Captain, your expedition has arrived at a very dangerous time. In a few weeks, maybe less, the galaxy is going to face an enemy that wants to destroy all life everywhere. Kim felt the weight of the galaxy pressing down on him. What can we do? Our weapons are nothing compared to what you've shown us. Our fleets are scattered across thousands of worlds. There might be a way, Dr. Lim said slowly, but it would require humanity to reveal ourselves to the galaxy again. It would require us to become the very thing we've been hiding from for 3 centuries. What do you mean? Dr. Lim walked to the window and looked out at the human ships, moving through space. It would require us to become the galaxy's protectors, to take responsibility for every living world, every peaceful species, every family that just wants to live in safety. Kim joined her at the window. You're talking about revealing that humanity is still alive, coming out of hiding. More than that, we're talking about taking control, about becoming the dominant force in the galaxy, about accepting that sometimes, to protect peace, you have to be very good at war. Dr. Park spoke up from behind them. The galaxy isn't ready for that truth. Most species still think humans are extinct. If you suddenly appeared with all this power, there would be panic, Dr. Lim agreed. Fear. Some species would try to fight us. Others would surrender immediately. The galactic government would collapse. Kim turned away from the window. But if you don't act, the Void Devourers will destroy everything anyway. Exactly. So we have a choice to make. Stay hidden and let the galaxy die fighting an enemy it cannot defeat, or reveal ourselves and save a galaxy that will never trust us again. Just then, alarms began ringing throughout the station. A human officer ran into the room. Dr. Lim, emergency signal from Deep Space Monitoring. The Void Devourers have accelerated. Their timeline. Dr. Lim's face went pale. How long do we have? 3 days, maybe 4. They're coming fast. Kim felt his heart stop. 3 days. The galaxy had 3 days before facing an enemy it didn't know existed, with weapons it couldn't understand, fighting a war it couldn't win. Dr. Lim looked at Kim with sad eyes. Captain, I'm afraid your expedition has just become something much more important. You're about to become witnesses to humanity's return to the galaxy. She touched her communication device. This is Dr. Lim. Send the activation codes to all defensive positions. Wake up the fleets. The war we've been preparing for has finally begun. Kim watched through the window as thousands of human ships began moving into position. After 300 years of hiding, humanity was about to reveal itself to the galaxy again. He just hoped there would be a galaxy left to save. 2 days later, Captain Dae-ho Kim stood in the command center of Haven Station watching the most terrifying sight he had ever seen. On the main screen, dark shapes were moving through space toward the galaxy. They looked like holes in reality itself, swallowing the light from stars as they passed. How many? Dr. Yoon-Soo Lim asked the human officer monitoring the sensors. At least 10,000 ships, Dr. Lim. Maybe more. They're moving faster than we expected. Kim felt his stomach drop. 10,000 ships, the entire Galactic Defense Force, had maybe 3,000 ships scattered across hundreds of worlds. And from what he had seen, their weapons would be useless against this enemy. Have you contacted the Galactic Council? Kim asked. Dr. Lim shook her head sadly. We sent warning messages 6 hours ago. They think it's a trick. They believe we're trying to scare them into surrendering to human control. They don't believe. The Void Devourers are real? 300 years is a long time, Captain. The galaxy has forgotten many things. They've forgotten what real danger looks like. Dr. Hyojin Park was studying the images of the approaching enemy ships. These vessels are huge. Some of them are bigger than our space stations. They're not just ships, Dr. Lim explained. They're mobile factories. They consume planets and turn the material into more ships, more weapons, more soldiers. Commander. Taehyun Kang pointed to his screen. I'm getting reports from the Outer Rim colonies. 3 systems have gone dark in the last hour. No communications. No signals. Kim felt cold fear growing in his chest. They've started attacking? The Void Devourers don't attack like normal enemies, Dr. Lim said. They don't want to conquer or rule. They want to consume. They turn everything they touch into more of themselves. A new voice spoke from across the command center. Dr. Lim, General Kyungmin Yu is requesting immediate conference. Kim turned to see who was speaking. It was a tall human man in a military uniform covered with medals and insignia. His face was hard and serious, like someone who had seen too many wars. Captain Kim, Dr. Lim said, meet General Yu, Supreme Commander of the Terran Defense Network. General Yu walked over to them with long, confident steps. Captain, your people are about to face extinction, and they don't even know it. We need your help. What can we do? Kim asked. Our weapons are centuries behind yours. You can help us save lives. We're going to evacuate as many galactic civilians as possible before the Devourers reach the core worlds. Navigator So Young Yoon looked up from her station. Evacuate them to where? If these creatures consume entire systems, nowhere will be safe. General Yu walked to the main display screen. He touched a control, and the image changed to show a map of human space. We've spent 300 years building fortified worlds deep in our territory, planets surrounded by defense stations protected by our most advanced technology. You want to bring alien refugees into human space? Dr. Park asked with surprise. It's the only way to save them, Dr. Lim said. But first, we have to convince them that the danger is real. Suddenly, alarms began ringing throughout the command center. A young human officer ran up to General Yu. Sir, emergency communication from the Galactic Council. Put it on screen, Yu ordered. The display changed to show Admiral Sung-Min Lee, the same tired old man who had warned against entering the quarantine zone. But now his face was filled with panic and fear. This is Admiral Lee calling any human forces. Please respond. We're under attack. Our fleets are being destroyed. General Yu stepped forward. Admiral Lee, this is General Yu of the Terran Defense Network. What is your situation? Lee's eyes went wide when he saw the human general. You're alive. All this time you've been alive? Admiral, report your situation immediately. 3 systems on the Outer Rim have been completely destroyed. Not just defeated, consumed. There's nothing left. No planets, no stars. Nothing but empty space. Kim felt sick. Entire star systems erased from existence. Our ships can't even scratch their hulls. Lee continued. Our most powerful weapons do nothing. They're moving toward the core worlds. At this rate, they'll reach the galactic capital in 4 days. General Yu's expression didn't change. Admiral, I'm sending you coordinates for emergency evacuation points. Begin moving civilian populations immediately. Evacuation? Where can we evacuate to? These things are consuming everything. To human space. We have fortified worlds that can protect your people. Admiral Lee stared at the screen in shock. You're offering to help us? After we abandoned you? After we forgot about you? Admiral, humans don't abandon their neighbors when monsters come knocking. That's not who we are. Kim watched this exchange with growing amazement. The humans had every right to be angry at the galaxy that had forgotten them, but instead of seeking revenge, they were offering protection. Dr. Lim turned to Kim. Captain, we need your help with the evacuation. Your ships know the trade routes better than anyone. You can guide refugee fleets to safety. Of course, Kim said without hesitation. But what about fighting these void devourers? What's your plan? General Yu looked at him with grim eyes. We fight them the same way we fought the Andromedans. Completely, totally, without mercy. The screen changed to show human military forces mobilizing. Kim watched in awe as massive fleets of ships emerged from hidden bases throughout human space. Each ship looked like a work of art and a weapon of war at the same time. How many ships do you have? Engineer Myung-shin asked. More than we need, General Yu replied. But this isn't just about ships. It's about making sure this never happens again. Admiral Wan Ho-song appeared on another communication screen. He was standing on the bridge of what looked like the largest warship Kim had ever seen. General Yu, the First Fleet is ready for deployment. All ships report full combat readiness. Admiral Song, you are authorized to engage the enemy. Show them what happens when they threaten our galaxy. Kim noticed the words, our galaxy. The humans still considered themselves part of the galactic community, even after 3 centuries of isolation. Sir, Song continued, what are our rules of engagement? General, Yu's voice became hard as steel. Admiral, these creatures have consumed billions of innocent lives. They have turned entire worlds into nothing. There will be no prisoners, no negotiations, no mercy. Kim watched the human fleet move out toward the approaching enemy. But something was bothering him. General, you keep saying our galaxy and talking about protecting everyone, but your people withdrew because you were afraid of your own power. What's changed? Dr. Lim answered before the general could speak. What's changed, Captain, is that we've learned the difference between necessary violence and senseless destruction. We've spent 3 centuries learning how to be human while still being warriors. The Andromedans attacked us because they were greedy, General Yu added. The Void Devourers attack everyone because that's their nature. One enemy could be reasoned with. The other can only be destroyed. The main screen now showed the first battle between human and Void Devourer forces. Kim watched a single human battleship approach a formation of 50 enemy vessels. This is Captain Yoon Seo Jung of the battleship Indomitable, came a voice over the communications. Beginning attack run. Kim held his breath as the lone human ship flew straight toward the enemy fleet. The Void Devourer ships opened fire with weapons that tore holes in space itself. But the human ship moved through the attacks like they weren't even there. Then the Indomitable fired back. The weapon it used didn't look like a normal space cannon. Instead, it created a wave of energy that passed through the enemy ships like they were made of paper. One by one, the Void Devourer vessels simply stopped existing. In 37 minutes, Captain Zhang's single ship had destroyed all 50 enemy vessels without taking any damage. My God, Kim whispered. How is that possible? 300 years of preparation, Dr. Lim said simply. We've been developing weapons specifically designed to fight the Void Devourers. We studied their technology. We learned their weaknesses. Admiral Lee's voice came through the communications again. General Yu, our sensors show the enemy main fleet is changing course. They're retreating toward the galactic edge. General, Yu smiled for the first time since Kim had met him. They're not retreating, Admiral, they're regrouping. They didn't expect to face real resistance. What happens now? Kim asked. Now we show them that this galaxy is under human protection, General Yu said, and we make sure they never come back. Kim watched more human fleets moving out into space. He realized that the galaxy was about to witness something that hadn't happened in 3 centuries. Humanity at war. But this time they weren't fighting for conquest or revenge. They were fighting to protect everyone. General, Kim said, what do you need from the rest of us? Help us save as many lives as possible. Help us rebuild what the Devourers have destroyed. And help us make sure the galaxy never forgets this lesson again. Kim nodded. The price of forgetting was almost the destruction of everything. But maybe with humanity's help they could build something better from the ashes. The real war was just beginning.
1 week after the first battle, Captain Dae-ho Kim stood on the observation deck of Haven Station, watching the most amazing sight in galactic history. Thousands of refugee ships from across the galaxy were arriving at human space stations. Families
who had lost everything were being given new homes on human worlds. The evacuation is going better than we hoped, Dr. Yun-Soo Lim said, joining Kim at the window. We've saved over 2 billion people so far. Kim watched children playing in the station parks while their parents worked alongside human volunteers. I never thought I'd see different species working together like this. Neither did we, Dr. Lim admitted. We've been isolated for so long. We forgot how good it feels to help others. Commander Tae-hyun Kang walked up to them carrying a data pad. Captain, the reports from the battle zones are incredible. The human fleets aren't just winning, they're hunting down every single Void Devourer ship. Kim took the data pad and read the numbers. In 7 days, human forces had destroyed over 8,000 enemy vessels. The Void Devourers were retreating to the dark space between galaxies, but the humans weren't letting them escape. Fleet Admiral Jung-ho Bayek is leading the pursuit, Dr. Lim explained. He has orders to follow the Devourers all the way back to their home dimension and make sure they never return. Their home dimension? Kim asked. The Void Devourers don't come from normal space. They come from the empty areas between galaxies where reality is thin. Admiral Bayek is going to seal the doorways they use to enter our universe. Dr. Hee-jin, Park joined them at the window. She had been studying human technology for the past week. The weapons they're using don't just destroy matter, they're rewriting the basic laws of physics in local space. That sounds dangerous, Kim said. It is, Dr. Lim agreed. That's why we spent 300 years learning how to control it. Power without wisdom is destruction. Wisdom without power is helplessness. We needed both. Navigator So Young-yoon's voice came over the communication system. Captain Kim, please report to the command center. Priority message from Admiral Lee. They walked to the command center where Admiral Sung-min Lee appeared on the main screen. He looked older and more tired than before, but also relieved. Captain Kim, I'm calling to report that the Galactic Council has voted. We're officially dissolving the old Confederation and accepting humanity's proposal for a new galactic government. Kim felt surprised. They agreed to human leadership? Not leadership, Admiral Lee corrected. Partnership. The humans don't want to rule the galaxy. They want to protect it. General Kyung-min-yu stepped into view on the screen. Captain Kim, we're establishing the Terran Concordat. It will be a new kind of galactic government based on cooperation instead of domination. How will it work? Kim asked. Every species will have representation, General Yu explained. Every world will have a voice. But humanity will provide the military protection and advanced technology needed to keep everyone safe. Dr. Lim touched a control panel and the screen showed a map of the galaxy. But this wasn't the old map with empty space where human territory used to be. This was a new map showing human worlds connected to every other system by bright lines of trade and communication. The quarantine zone is gone, she said. We're opening our borders to everyone. Trade, science, culture, everything we've learned in 3 centuries of isolation. Engineer Mi Young-shin was studying the technical displays. The technology sharing agreements alone will advance galactic civilization by centuries. That's the idea, General Yu said. We don't want to be the only ones with advanced weapons. We want to make sure every species can defend itself. Ambassador Xianmi Li appeared on another screen. She was standing in what looked like a massive meeting hall filled with representatives from hundreds of different species. General Yu, the first Concordat assembly is ready to begin. We have delegates from every major world and many minor ones. Kim watched as the assembly hall filled with beings he had never seen before. Some were from species that rarely left their homeworlds. Others were from small colonies that had never been part of the old galactic government. We're not just rebuilding the old system, Ambassador Li explained. We're creating something new, something that includes everyone. Commander He Jin Kwan's voice came over the communications. General, the pursuit fleets are reporting success. Admiral Beck has sealed the dimensional barriers. The Void Devourers are trapped in their home dimension. General Yu smiled. How many of their ships escaped? None, sir. Every Void Devourer vessel in our galaxy has been destroyed or captured. Kim felt a wave of relief wash over him. The threat that had haunted the galaxy for centuries was finally gone. What happens to the captured ships? Dr. Park asked. We're studying them, Dr. Lim replied. Learning how their technology works? But we're also doing something else. We're using their ships to rebuild the worlds they destroyed. The screen changed to show construction fleets working around dead star systems. Kim watched in amazement as human ships used Void Devourer technology to create new planets where the old ones had been consumed. You're bringing the destroyed worlds back to life? Kim asked. We're trying, General Yu said. It will take time, maybe decades. But we think we can restore most of what was lost. Pilot Hyunwoo Nam had been quiet during the briefing, but now he spoke up. What about the people who died? The billions who were consumed? The room became quiet. Dr. Lim's expression became sad. We can't bring back the dead, but we can make sure their sacrifice wasn't meaningless. We can build a galaxy where this never happens again. Kim walked back to the window and looked out at the refugee ships. Families who had lost their homes were being given new ones. Species that had been enemies were working together. Children who had never seen their parents' home worlds were learning about cultures that had been thought lost forever. Captain, General Yu said, we have an offer for you. Kim turned around. What kind of offer? We want you to be the first non-human admiral in the Terran Concordat Defense Force. You'll help coordinate protection for the trade routes you know so well. Kim felt honored but also confused. Why me? Because you were brave enough to cross the line when everyone else was afraid, Dr. Lim said. Because you wanted to learn the truth instead of accepting comfortable lies. And because, General Yu added, we need people who understand that real strength comes from protecting others, not from conquering them. Kim looked around at his crew. Navigator Yoon was smiling. Engineer Shin was nodding encouragement. Dr. Park was studying the technical displays with excitement. Commander Kang was already planning security improvements. We accept, Kim said. All of us. 6 months later, Kim stood in his new office on Concordat Central Station, the largest space station ever built. Through his window, he could see ships from hundreds of different species traveling safely through space. The trade routes that had once been dangerous were now protected by joint patrols of human and alien vessels. Dr. Park had become the head of the new Xenobiology Institute, studying how different species could work together. Commander Kang was training mixed species security teams. Navigator Yoon was mapping new routes to worlds that had been cut off for centuries. The galaxy was changing. The old maps that showed empty space where human territory used to be were being replaced with new maps showing connection and cooperation. Kim opened his desk drawer and pulled out a small object, a piece of metal from the memorial ship where this adventure had begun. It reminded him of the names on that wall, the humans who had survived their great war and chose to hide rather than conquer. But now those same humans were teaching the galaxy a new way to live. They had learned that the strongest nations are not the ones that rule over others, but the ones that protect others. The galactic map no longer stopped at human space. Instead, human space had become the center of something new, a galaxy where different species could live together safely, where advanced technology was shared instead of hoarded, where the strong protected the weak instead of exploiting them. Kim smiled as he looked out at the stars. The mystery of the Forbidden Zone had been solved. The price of forgetting had been paid. And now, finally, the galaxy was ready to learn what humanity had always known, that the best way to be strong is to use that strength to help others. The age of human isolation was over. The age of galactic cooperation had begun, and it was more beautiful than anyone had ever imagined.